This looks the anxiety for the Viva.
Exactly. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nick Nickham, your host. We are coming to you live on 1090 AM Houston. And you can listen to us also on KULFradio.com, or you can tune into YouTube on the internet and look under my blog, Nick Nickham. There you will be able to watch the interview that is going to be unfolding for the next hour. We'll be here from 10 to 11 a.m. If you'd like to join in the conversation, the number to call here is 281-983-9550. You're listening to All India Radio Houston, 1090 a.m. KULF, coming to you from Houston, of course. We have two important topics this morning. The first topic is going to be post-Indian election and Narendra Modi and his agenda for India and beyond. We have two experts who actually actively campaigned in the Indian election. They went all the way from Houston to India and campaigned. They are pretty knowledgeable about Modi's position on various things we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking during the first half of the hour. And during the second half of the hour, I'm going to be talking to Shiraz Abbasi, who is a lawyer, and he's going to talk to you everything, all the legal aspects related to a small business. If you have a small business, a grocery store, a restaurant, or a jewelry store, or a clothing store on Hillcroft, and you need to know about all the legal aspects that are related to your business, this is the place where you want to hear. And so we will be beginning first with post-election Narendra Modi agenda. My guests are Achalesh Amar. Achalesh Amar, welcome to All India Radio Houston.
Thank you, Dr. Nickham.
And Gopinath, and he's also going to be talking about gentlemen. I mean, after a overwhelming majority victory and a mandate from all across India, I think you must be really excited.
Oh, most definitely.
And also, I mean, you had one of the victory celebrations in India House, which was one of the biggest attendance, I should say, of all the functions I have seen.
Well, all thanks to Modi ji. I mean, Modi wave is very much here in Houston, and it's for there to everyone.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to learn a lot about Modi and his agenda for India and beyond. And I should say, we also had the opportunity, the All India Radio Houston, to live video stream your election celebration at India House, and I'm glad to tell you it has passed 500 views from all across the globe, not just Houston.
Excellent.
That shows, your enthusiasm is spreading, far beyond the boundaries of Houston Metroplex area. First of all, Achalesh and Gopinath, you can step in anytime you like. Let's begin with, for those listeners who may not be familiar with the Indian politics, who is Narendra Modi, and what is this, the so-called Narendra Modi wave?
Okay, I'll take a first step, and then Gopinath can jump in.
Yeah.
Narendra Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat for 3 consecutive terms.
Yeah. Oh, I see, yeah.
And then he was designated as the PM candidate from Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. And in terms of his personality, he is a karma yogi or a doer.
Yeah.
He just believes in doing things. And the kind of wave which we saw in the election.
Yeah.
Gopinath can shed some light on that.
Yeah.
Gopinath?
Yeah, sure. And the one unique thing about Sri Narendra Modi is the fact that he's probably one of the first chief ministers. I mean, a chief minister is the equivalent of a governor in this country.
That's right, yes.
And is going to be one of the first chief ministers of a state of India to actually become the prime minister. Which is pretty unique in the Indian election scenario. The reason he got elected this time by a vast majority of Indian voters is really a vote for governance. It's a vote for development, and he has transcended the typical vote bank politics in India, which talk about, like, caste-based vote banks or majority-based vote banks and things like that.
Oh, do you think it is a anti-Congress vote that Narendra Modi got, or did he get on his own record? We're going to be talking a lot about his record and also his agenda.
Well, I think it's a pro-development vote. One remarkable thing about this election is we had a sizable population of youngsters who voted for Modi and BJP. You would be glad to know that around 50% of all the people below 22, between the ages of 18 and 22, around 50% of them voted for Modi.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a lot of research during the last several weeks during the elections and all this. I was really surprised to find out there are like more than 150 million young voters who have registered for this particular election. And for the benefit of those listeners, I want to tell that more than 550 million people voted for a single election, which was without any violence or any kind of hostility, anything like that. And this is maybe the one of the reflections of the biggest democracy in the world, for 550 million to vote. And incidentally, Narendra Modi's, the BJP party got almost 31%, 160 million people. So it's a huge mandate. Narendra Modi promised a lot of things about economy, job, inflation, corruption, infrastructure, healthcare, international relations, international trade, racial harmony, education, empowering women and young people of India. So now the election is over, and tomorrow he's going to be instilled as the Prime Minister of India. Monday, right?
Yes.
Monday he's going to be instilled as the Prime Minister of India. Let's talk business. Let's begin with, let's say, economy. So tell us, what is Narendra Modi's take on economy from your observation, as a chief minister in Gujarat, and how he is going to bring the so-called Gujarat model to the rest of the country?
Okay. Now, I'm glad you brought out this question about the Gujarat model.
Yeah.
Now, it's very important for us to know and understand what Gujarat model is.
Yeah.
So there are 6 different concrete steps involved in Gujarat model. The first one relates to agriculture sector.
Yes.
The second one is about electrical power supply. That you have to have different feeder lines for residential as well as agriculture and industrial sector.
Yeah.
Okay? And that he has put to good effect in Gujarat. The next one is the strengthening of the 3-tier governance model.
Yeah.
He says he has this mantra that MG square, that minimum government and maximum governance.
I see. Yeah.
Okay? Next one is the simplified land acquisition.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. You're right. For farmers or anybody else to get land in India is almost next to impossible, unless wait for decades, and all this bribing that we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah. So those were the first 4 things.
Yeah.
And then he has improved the electrical tariff collection mechanism in Gujarat. And as a result of that, whereas when he took charge of Gujarat CM chair, there was almost a 50% loss to the electricity department. Now that has been brought down to only 7% or so.
I see.
So which is remarkable. And then he also has a grand scheme about education, about healthcare.
I see. Yeah.
You would be happy to know that even in the remote villages of Gujarat, They have a number which is called 108 number. You dial that number and the ambulance arrives within 30 minutes.
That's wonderful.
And I'm talking this about the remote small villages.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not talking about the
major cities.
The major cities. Cities, it would be 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you can get the medical facilities delivered at your door within 30 minutes, I think from Indian perspective, it's a remarkable achievement.
You have anything to add?
One of the hallmarks about the Modi style of governance is that he likes to keep his ministries small. So if you look at the current dispensation, they have maxed out the number of ministries that you can legally, under the constitution, it's around 75 to 80, and they have maxed it out. You're going to see under the new Modi government a rapid shrinking of the number of ministries. He's going to consolidate all of them, and he does believe in empowering bureaucrats. So he's going to keep the ministers very close to his chest, make sure that there is a commonality of agenda, but he's going to give a free hand by appointing smart bureaucrats, hardworking bureaucrats, and empowering them. That's his model. It's worked in Gujarat, it will work in India.
Okay.
In fact, that's what he did for the Gujarat Electricity Board when he took charge. He was told that there are 50% losses, and then he sat down with the bureaucrats and he says, here for this particular organization, this particular industry, all I want is a technocrat to run the show. So he empowered the technocrat to run the show. And as a result, within a couple of years, the losses were brought down to around 15%, and now it's less than 7%.
That's absolutely correct. And while we are talking about economy, I had to tell you, one of my cousins with whom I went to school as a child, he is one of the anchor persons at India's Delhi's Rajya Sabha TV. His name is Girish Nikam, and so we have been exchanging a lot of information about, in fact, he had put it on Facebook about the GDP based on various leaders. In fact, whether you like it or not, even though the Congress record has been dismal in the last decade or so, the GDP during the Manmohan Singh period was 7.2. It's not because the Congress did something, it's just the whole India was, technologically advancing and getting in the international market, and that might have been possible for the GDP to be 7.2.
The question for you, Dr. Nikam, when you say GDP is 7.2, which year are you talking about?
I'm coming to that. Okay. This is the overall 10-year period. However, in the last year or so, the GDP has gone down to 4.5% all across India. So my question is, how is Narendra Modi going to address this particular issue?
So just to give you some historical perspective on that, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee NDA democratic government in 2004, that time our GDP was close to 9%. And for the first term of UPA, which is called UPA 1, from 9, it gradually started coming down, and for the second term, it has been hovering around the 5% mark. And that's why if you average for the entire 10 years, your figure of 7.3% may be close. But the thing is, what has happened in the last 5 years?
That's true. I agree with you.
This current term of the government. And that's what you see in the electoral route of Congress. They could get only 44 seats. Even during emergency in 1977, they were able to get over 100 seats.
That is true. Okay, we have a lot of topics to cover, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to All India Radio Houston. I am Dr. Nick Nikam, your host. My guests are Achalesh, Amar, and Gopinath. We are talking about Narendra Modi's agenda for India and beyond in 2014. Let's talk about 150 million youths registered and voted. There's only one thing they are looking for: jobs. Tell us, what is your agenda for jobs, creating jobs?
The unique thing about India is that, which is very different from the United States, is that 86% of India works in the unorganized sector. And that's very important to keep in mind. So the jobs in India necessarily have to cater to that sector. Because that's not going to change overnight. So one of the key aspects of Modi's agenda is going to be about increasing the number of jobs in especially 2 or 3 main sectors: retail, textiles, and agriculture. So we got to make sure that, and there's this concept called urban, that they are proposing, which is basically called bringing the urban amenities to the rural areas. Because unless you have a rapid expansion in the number of cities, and they are talking about building about 100
cities. I saw that.
But India is a vast country, 1.2 billion people. You cannot suddenly move all the people from the villages into the city. So you have to sometimes take the city to the villages. And that's the concept of urban. But coming back to jobs, there is going to be a very heavy emphasis on increasing the number of jobs in the unorganized sector, in textiles. There is a very particular reason why BJP opposes FDI in multi-brand retail, and that is because of job generation possibilities in the retail sector. And there is also going to be a very heavy emphasis on entrepreneurship and small business developments, and that's an area that and cooperatives has been a huge success in Gujarat. And that's if you know Indians, and if you know Indians in the United States, they are natural entrepreneurs. So encouraging that, removing red tapeism and bureaucracy is going to be one of the big areas in which Modi's government is going to encourage job growth.
I think you touch upon one particular element, and that is this bureaucracy, because bureaucracy is what has really stifled India's progress, because at every level you have to go through bribe and all these things, and even when you do that, you don't get anything accomplished. Anyway, we have a lot of topics to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to join in the conversation, the number to call here is 281-983-9550. You're listening to All India Radio Houston. My guests are Achalesh, Amar, and Gopinath. Let's talk about the biggest topic during the election and how our party came into power, that is corruption. Let me make a few statements about corruption. I mean, corruption must be, I don't know if it's inherent in human beings, I should say, all across the globe, not necessarily Indians, and it may be more so among Indians, because I think one of the foreign leaders said, what's the difference between corruption in your country and in India? He said, in my country, there is corruption, but they deliver what they promise. But in India, there's corruption. They take money and they don't deliver anything. Anyway, coming back to corruption, which is the huge problem, and there are statistics now. 31% of the BJP leaders have documented criminal records on their applications for their membership. So I would like you to see how you're going to address the corruption, and where you're going to start. Are you going to start at home, or how Modi want to, attempt this topic of corruption?
Let me first clear up a misconception about corruption and somehow this feeling that this is endemic to Indians. No, absolutely not. I mean, I think
that's why I say it's globally, because I have seen in this country.
United States, during its early years, in the 19th century, had this concept of robber barons. You must be aware of them. And if you compare that to the number of scams you have here, there is no comparison between the amount of money that the robber barons made versus the scams that are even in the UPA government. So, but setting that aside, in terms of how to handle corruption, and this is once again a great template is the Gujarat model. One of the big reasons for corruption is non-transparent functioning of government and bureaucracy. And so just by the fact of simplifying government by reducing the size of government, and the other big initiative that Modi ji did in Gujarat was basically this concept of e-governance, where actually you could go to an internet kiosk and request information about anything. I mean, you could get your the amount of facilities that you are that you can avail for. You could get RTI information to you. So Gujarat has been in the absolute forefront when it comes to implementation of the anti-corruption scheme. So it is definitely going to help a lot in terms of improving the governance structure and in terms of reducing corruption.
That's absolutely, Gopinath. I think Modi ji has effectively used technology to curb on corrupt practices. And there are two types of corruption. One is institutional, about which you can do a lot many things, and the other is on the personal level. So personal level, I think it's incumbent on all of us to make sure that when we have to travel from place A to place B, we don't give those extra 50 rupees, 100 rupees, or 500 rupees to the ticket collector.
I think one of the biggest problems in India is if you have a government job, nobody can fire you. Maybe that's the philosophy that needs to be changed, so that everybody should be held accountable. Like, if you are running a software service, everybody has to fill out a form after the transaction is over as how well this person served your purpose.
I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you, Dr. Nikam. and this is the first time ever in India's history that there was this politician who threw his resume down on the table and said that, okay, this is my resume. Evaluate it, then give me the vote. Not on promises.
That's right.
Not on promises, but based on what he has done. You also touched upon 31% of the BJP candidates having some criminal records and things. I believe you are referring to ADR from you have pulled.
No, this is from one of the leading news Times of India or somewhere. So because I mean I'm just reflecting what's in the media.
But what's in the media? Modi ji has clearly said that he knows that this is a big problem. There are some unwanted or criminal elements in many parties. So what he is proposing is that within a year, the courts need to decide one way or the other.
Right. You have to have a limit.
Because you have to have a limit.
You're not going to wait 6 years for a legal case to come to the court.
So he's going to request the judicial system to look at these cases on a priority basis, and within 1 year decide one way or the other.
Okay, I mean the conversation is going so well. I mean we are already 20 minutes into the conversation. We got only 10 more minutes left. Let's cover two important aspects. One is related to international relations and international trade, and the second one is about religions, and then if time permits we'll come back to the remaining questions, but maybe we need a whole hour just to cover the surface of the things that have been covered extensively during 6 weeks of election. Let's talk about international relations. What's your take on international relations, and how should Modi proceed?
India first.
Okay, I think he has already made that very clear.
India first.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. Modi ji is very clear on that. The nation always comes first, but we believe in this concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means universal brotherhood. But that doesn't mean sacrificing your national interests. And if you look at right from the time of his swearing-in ceremony, what he has done is reached out to all the SAARC leaders.
South Asian.
I think it's a great foreign policy move. And you will definitely see a look east policy with regards to Sri Narendra Modi and to strengthen relationship with the Asian countries. He has a great working relationship with Israel and Japan, for instance, during his stint as chief minister in terms of foreign direct investments and sharing of ideas like, for example, drip irrigation from Israel was used very successfully in Gujarat. So you will see he already has foreign policy experience, even though it's a chief minister, which is very, very rare in an Indian context. It's like the governor in this country having a relationship with
foreign countries,
with the foreign country and some European Union state. So you will definitely see certain elements. Look East policy with some specific countries. I think as far as U.S.-India relationships are concerned, which would be of interest to this audience, I think President Obama has made the right steps in calling Modi and congratulating him and all of that. But I think there is definitely many steps to be taken to reduce the trust deficit because of the unfortunate cancellation or denial of visa to Modi, which definitely does not help.
I agree with you. Sometimes we have to put past behind us and move forward. I'm pretty sure Modi is going to get visa, and I'm sure in due course he will be visiting.
Actually, Modi doesn't care.
What I'm trying to say is, as you said, India first, but at the same time, USA and India are the biggest democracies in the world, and for bilateral trade and exchange of culture and all these things, it is important for us to be diplomatic and also get things done because at the end, we all need coexistence. So I mean, unless you have a confrontation, which is a totally different approach.
Absolutely, but it takes two hands to clap.
Two hands to clap, and then you don't have to bend over backwards to please the other.
But that is true. There's no reason for India to be, because India is in a much different position today than it was like 50 years ago or something. So let's move on.
Just to add to that, he has said that in terms of international relations, you have to look the other nation in the eye, and then talk face to face, eye to eye,
at equal level.
At equal level. You shouldn't have your head bowed down.
That's right.
And you shouldn't be looking up to them. So at the equal level. So that's going to be his foreign policy.
I think India, by population-wise, by technology, by education, we have all the right resources. And as I said, India needs to move in the right direction with proper leadership, I think, which was lacking in the last decade or so. Okay, international trade. There's a lot of, India is like 179th country, favorable country in comes to someone establishing a business in India. You tell us how Narendra Modi is going to change it, because international trade is very important for bringing dollars, euros, or bitcoins into India and create new jobs.
I'll tell you what he has done in Gujarat. Okay, and then based on that you can extrapolate what you can do at the national level. In Gujarat, there is single window clearance for all projects.
Yeah.
So if today you as an entrepreneur go there and you have a business plan, within 2 days, once you present your case, there would be all these different parts, environment clearance, finance clearance, all the things. They would take a decision, and you will know within 2 days whether you are able to set up the project there or not.
Well, that brings us to the next question.
And in Gujarat, in Gujarat, he has been doing these international summits for bringing FTA to Gujarat. And in among all the states in India, Gujarat is a state where you get the maximum amount of foreign investments.
Well, there's one point I'd like to add to it, and that is one of the key things to improve investor confidence in India, which is something that he's very keen on doing, and it's in the BJP manifesto, is the abolition of some ridiculous schemes like retrospective taxes, which was introduced by the UPA 2 government, and which just really scared off investors because it's just fairly illegal. The Supreme Court has struck it down. So he's going to make sure that there are reforms in labor laws, that there are reforms in investment laws, and that doing business with India should be a pleasure. And that's his goal.
In Gujarat, Narendra Modi had everybody who sort of went along with this because he was a man of determination, hard-working person. He produced results which people couldn't, content or comment upon. But you have to understand that the BJP party won this election with just 31% of the populace vote. That means hold on, let me finish. 69% of the people did not vote for the BJP, and the number of people you are surrounded by may not have the same ideology as Narendra Modi's. How is he going to address the opposition in many respects? Not just Congress is not even there because they're not even a minority party anymore, but there are 158 regional parties.
Dr. Nikam, please forgive me, but this argument is ridiculous. That 31% people voted and 69 didn't vote. Look at some other governments in the history. The most last time Congress won only 26% of the votes. 26% of the popular vote Congress won. In 2004, Congress won only 23% of the popular vote.
Okay,
I would like to add one more thing. This argument is coming due to a complete lack of understanding of how a multi-party parliamentary democracy works. If India had a runoff system of elections or a two-party system of elections, it's fair to compare what percentage of vote you receive. In a multi-party first-past the post voting system, 30% is a sweep. It's a huge wave, and if you need to understand this better, people need to read up on how the FFPS system works. Otherwise, they're going to come away with complete understanding. And secondly, just because more than 31% didn't vote does not mean they don't like him. It just means that they prefer another party, and that doesn't.
I understand.
And also, BJP had its candidates only in around 400 constituencies, not in all 543. So BJP and the NDA, the total, they won almost 39.7% of the votes. So it's 40% of the votes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you, we came up with about 15 agenda points. We have covered only 3 or 4. I've got 2 more minutes. Let's talk about religion, minorities, and how Narendra Modi is going to address this particular issue. I guess that will probably conclude our presentation. Maybe we'll have you come back again so we can cover the rest of the points.
Sure. I mean, he has made it absolutely clear. Indian Constitution is religion. India first is what he believes in, and he believes in empowerment of all the 125 crore or 1.2 billion Indians. So it's only for India. So we still look at this from our old views of religion, minority, this, that. He doesn't believe in that, and he has shown this in this campaign.
Do you think the minorities like the Muslims, the Sikhs, and other religions have any concern? Should be concerned about? What is your interpretation?
I think it's fair to say that action will speak louder than words, and they will see the level of governance they get, the development and the jobs, and then it will speak for itself. And as Modi said, that there are 2 points I would like to make. One is election manifesto from the very beginning said sabka saath sabka vikas, which means development for everybody and moving along with everybody. So no favoritism to any group. And secondly, he promises equality of opportunity but not equality of outcome, which is how any sort of any meritocracy critic organization or a government or a country should function. So
gentlemen,
actions will speak for itself.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. I mean, I can't imagine 30 minutes just went like 3 minutes here. It's been a pleasure having you on All India Radio Houston, and maybe we'll meet again, and we'll be right back after these messages. So you have been listening to All India Radio Houston. I'm Dr. Nick Nickham. This is coming to you live from Houston, Texas, KULF Radio. 1090 AM. We'll be right back after these messages.